in reference to these readjustments now, of these numbers. Now, the Puget Sound Regional Council, this is going on, it's going on right now. I don't know exactly where, but the planners, the analysts, and then the folks who make up the board of the regional council, they're working out these numbers now. Every one of our neighborhoods effectively is going to be asked to accommodate still more growth. And that's the rationale that's going to legitimize the current respects, the taking away of those values, and we need to go back, managed, responsible levels of growth. And when development occurs, what does occur is that the development community has to share in the cost. First those values are retained, and then what growth occurs, the infrastructure, the enormous infrastructure costs, it's developers that have to share and pay it and assume the responsibility of those costs. This dovetails a little bit back with the notion of the steady state economy. And there is a website in Oregon, a group, sort of an offshoot of some of the environmental movements, that provides a toolkit for limiting growth that applies to every community, and what tools that all communities can use. I wrote down a little list myself. It's on this handout. And then I read their website, and it conformed a lot, what I wrote, to what they were talking about. But the key element, again, to me, it's wherever and whenever it occurs. We start first from the goal of preserving these values that we care about in our own communities. We not only think globally, we act locally. Wherever and whenever that growth, we demand accountability, and we are going to place restraints on growth. We are not going to accept, and this may require, honestly, an amendment, and they are trying to do this in Oregon, to the Growth Management Act. It mandates that these areas, locales, must accept that 30% increase that they're projecting in growth and readjust our growth targets. Under growth, maybe we should be saying no. And to that additional mandate and that level of growth, and amending the growth management accordingly. We should be saying no for growth wherever beyond the growth boundaries. Put a stop to it. 40% of the growth outside of King County was in and beyond these growth boundaries. They weren't holding the line. Those are major things we need to do. We need to readjust our track structure in a way that requires corporations, development interests, relieve small businesses, relieve the locales of these and working people of these enormous taxes, and switch to progressive tax systems, more equitable distribution, apply some of these principles of the steady state economy right here in our own communities. And I'll more or less end with that. We are in a battle for the future of our cities, our city. And we're losing right now. Wherever I go, we get up and we raise concerns about giving more tax breaks to developers, the multifamily tax exemptions. They're about to readjust those again to give still more subsidies to developers who are doing market rate development. The argument is, well, we're not seeing enough growth in these communities. We're falling short of our growth targets. We need to see more growth. This will stimulate the more development that we need to have around these transit stations, no matter that it will wipe out hundreds of truly existing affordable units within those communities that's there already at truly affordable levels, and replace them with units at 80 to 100% of median that are hundreds of dollars above what even average working people can afford. They call that affordable housing, but it's legitimized again under the banner of smart growth. We're in a battle, and we better get better organized. We better start electing people who care about these things. Like, unfortunately, we didn't elect David here, but we have Nick Licata on the council, and literally, I think he's the only true progressive populist right now we have on the council. It's a struggle, every one of these issues, but we've got to stand up and aggressively challenge and promote these values. And I believe it really is saying no to the smart growth movement. You're wrong. You're anti-environmental. It begins first with preserving the quality of life in our own communities, our own neighborhoods, protecting our own streams, our existing stock of affordable housing, not somewhere else. And we better start doing a better job of articulating that and fighting for those values, or we're going to lose our city. And I'll end with that. Al.
Very good, and also very good from you, Kent. Sometimes, I'm a historian, as you know, and sometimes I think that when we live in a major shift in society, we don't see it because we're living it. It's only when we're farther down the road that we really see it. But I've spent the past 2 or 3 years reading totally outside of my field, just reading economics and the Wall Street Journal and the London Financial Times. I had these free miles from Delta Airlines, and I cashed them in totally outside my field. And what these folks are saying, every responsible economist, every responsible student of growth from the economic side, is they're all saying it's over, and we just don't know it's over. We're broke. We're finished. We're done. We are so broke that Sally Clark can sit there and the council can sit there, and yesterday the judges can sit there and say we need more sales tax for our prisons, and Christine Gregoire can sit there and say we need a higher sales tax. We're done. We cannot afford it anymore. We're broke. The people of this state, the people of the country, the people of the world are broke. So what worries me more is how we respond to being broke than how we respond to trying to restart the bubble again. What worries me is that when we start succumbing to the arguments that we need to do these things in the interest of rejuvenating the economy, I think that these are going to be another perilous 20 or 30 years. But I think what's starting to happen, and I'm seeing it myself, is that people are getting a little impatient with their electeds when they say that the way to get past these problems is simply to increase the taxes and simply go back. Because as I said to Ken Jacobson the other day, my senator, it was a couple of months ago, and he hasn't been back to the burgomaster since. He's talking now about raising the tuition at the University of Washington. Well, this is horrible public policy. You can't raise tuition. I know people coming out of that college with $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 student debts just to get an undergraduate degree, but he believes in raising the tuition. And my response was, Ken, I've got a better idea. When you empty Safeco Tower of all those bureaucrats over there who do nothing every day but tell me that I'm not diverse enough, or I'm not multicultural enough, or whatever it is that they do, then you can tell me that you can raise the tuition on these kids. We have our provost now who wants to sit on the board of Nike. We have our president who sits on the board of Weyerhaeuser. And we've got to start saying, if you serve us, you're going to serve us on a state salary and you're going to like it, or don't let the door hit you on the way out. And we're starting to say that. And they're hearing us.
Ken Jacobs is up for re-election, by the way.
That's right. And it's about time that somebody opposed him, like David.
Well, there is somebody running, David, who's running against him.
David Frott.
He's considered a pretty credible opponent. He's rough. There and then Roger. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, I wanted
Your name what? That's right, Marianne. Yes.
I wanted to help you at one point, but you were right.
I needed help. That first part especially.
I'm sorry, you were almost ready to say, and I think maybe there's a point about this, that Seattle has a huge responsibility in East King County. Why? Because Seattle owns the Cedar River watershed.
Good point.
And I just wanted somehow that you could use that in addressing the impact